Welcome to War of the Weirds, a war between friends where the stranger the discovery, the greater chance of victory. After a hard-fought series of battles, Broomy earned a grand victory, and thusly shall receive the spoils of war. Bandersnatch.
Hello, and welcome to War of the Weirds. I'm Broomy.
And I'm Mystic.
And we usually tell one another incredibly strange stories, and it's a competition to see who has the stranger tales that they have discovered on the internet, usually. And in this case, I've had a victory within this war, and my spoils of war, in the title, see, it's in the episode now. Spoils of war are, I get to force Mystic to consume the incredibly strange media of my choice, and in this case, I chose Bandersnatch, the interactive episode of the sci-fi anthology series Black Mirror.
Yes, series I was aware of and actually mentioned it on the past episode. I forget what I said, but I made a reference to it. Have not ever seen it.
Yeah.
So I mean, my interpretation of it before this was that it's some sort of dystopian future / it has to do with technology.
It generally, a lot of it does.
Yeah. So that's what I was the impression I was under. Also got sort of a Twilight Zone vibe from this episode.
Absolutely.
And that seemed, yeah. I thought it was horror. Scary or, yeah. And I guess this one was sort of psychological thriller type or I don't know. This was very...
Yeah, it's sort of thrillery,
yeah,
sort of drama-y, sort of mystery, whatever.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, and as is tradition when we watch a movie or something on Spoils of War, there's going to be spoilers of war as well.
Yes.
So,
spoiler alert, I watched it.
Yeah, but did you like it?
Actually, so that is a complicated answer. Yes, I liked it.
I just want to give our takes real quick, super vague takes of, I really like this thing. I say you should watch it, people at home. If you haven't seen it, watch it and then listen to the rest of the episode to not spoil it.
Yeah.
But if you don't care about spoilers, whatever.
Yeah, if it's something that you were never going to watch or something and you just want to hear, you just listen to us talk, listen.
Or if you're just a person that's not affected by spoilers.
That's true,
most of the time, I don't really care.
Yeah, same. There are a couple things that I care about, and I think really I encountered something recently. So I will go ahead and say, little disclaimer that what I'm about to say next might maybe involve spoilers for the Snyder Cut of the Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
So I have not watched it yet. I'm super excited for it. I'm super into DC. That's evident in anything we've talked about in the past. And I recently saw a Snapchat headline thing, news, I don't know, on the Discover page.
Sure.
And it said DC's mysterious hero appearance explained, and I'm gonna give a spoiler here. So. Well, potentially, I didn't read the article, but it was that headline over a picture of a comic book with a panel involving the Martian Manhunter. And he's my all-time favorite comic book hero.
Yeah.
And favorite DC or Marvel hero. He's my all-time favorite, any superhero. And so I was like, man, I'm excited about that, but I wish I hadn't seen that because the moment of seeing him mentioned or something on screen for me, I'm just oh yes, that's awesome. But I don't care about content spoilers. I don't care about that. I just care about if there's an Easter egg for something.
Yeah.
But yeah, the content, I don't care. You tell me how things end. You can tell me, like, I mean.
Yeah, it would have been cool to see it and not, that's your favorite guy and you didn't know he was going to be in it. It would have been cool to see it in the moment while watching it. But I'm sure when you watch it, it'll be a fun thing either way and you'll have something to look forward to during the movie.
Unless it's like, that was like a bait, like misleading clickbait thing, you know, which is probable. I was going to watch it today. This is why I feel dumb, because I was going to watch it today. I mean, I still am going to watch it today. But, and I had deleted Snapchat off my phone for the past few days. And so I just had to re-download it. And anyways. So
yeah, you did.
I just can't control myself from chatting those snaps, you know?
Yeah.
Speaking of I like control. Speaking of control. Who can really control anything? Here's the thing. I liked this. I thought this was a really great thing, really well done, super interesting concept. The only thing is, like, choose your own adventure things stress me the heck out.
Yeah.
I like in video games, if I get to like a fork in a dungeon, I'm like, all right, I just can't stop thinking about, like, even if I go down one side, I'm like, I still got this other side. Like, I can't stop thinking about that. I remember reading like the Goosebumps Choose Your Own Adventure stories, the books.
I like those. Reader beware, you choose the scare.
Yeah. And I would always I would always go to both pages and look and see, like, I never could just like commit to a like decision and then let that play out.
Well, sometimes in those books especially, it's just like you just make a decision and then your character dies in one page, but if you make the other decision you can read like half of the book, you know what I mean? So it's like I always keep my fingers on the other page while flipping to the choice, because it's like that's kind of bullshit. Like, I get it's technically an ending, but come on.
Right. And so I guess we just like explain a little bit about, if you haven't seen it or if you saw it and whatever, a little summary about what we're talking about is this. The plot is that there's this guy, he's like a 18 or 19-year-old kid named Stefan, because of British accents. Stefan would be what I guess we would call him. I mean, we'd call him whatever he says his name is, regardless of the accent. But
Stephanie.
Steven. No. So he's into, it's like taking place in like 1984 or something. He's into like coding for video games. He's also obsessed with this book called Bandersnatch, which is a hugely thick book. And it's a choose your own adventure sort of. But instead of like, okay, you didn't survive, that was the wrong choice, you're dead, it leads to all these different reality possibilities. And so like, it's not just like right answer, wrong answer, unless, I mean, depending on how you judge it, but there's multiple decisions and branches off, and like you can end up completely different place than the other place.
Yes. It's it goes in all sorts of like the branch, you know, if you know about branching storylines, there's the I mean, the symbol in this show is an example of a branch. It's like a Y, basically.
Yeah.
If you flip a Y upside down, then it's capital Y upside down, then it's like the top is the beginning of the story, and then you gotta choose between two or more, but two choices. Yeah, you go left or right, and then in the left thing like you get another Y
tree thing, like an ancestry thing, you know, where
if you've seen a family
and then
tree,
the line comes down, and then or like one of those flow charts where it's like, should I watch this show? Do you like action? Yes.
Oh yeah. It's flow like chart is a perfect example.
Yeah, so
and that's what those books are like, and that's what this show is like when you're watching it. Something will happen in the show, and they'll ask the main character a thing. And then you have to choose between a couple things usually.
Yeah, so you get to decide as the viewer, like how the character, the protagonist in the show, reacts in these situations or decisions. And some things, like the first couple, seem innocuous. They're pretty mundane, like what kind of cereal you should have, or what cassette tape to listen to on the bus.
Frosties, Thompson Twins.
I did, yes. So I did Frosties, which is like Frosted Flakes in the UK, and Thompson Twins because like Thompson Twins' one of the greatest songs. I don't know if they're a one-hit wonder or what, but I only know the one song, "Stay With Me."
I don't know them very well, but the choices were Thompson Twins or like the Now.
Now, that's what I call music.
Yeah,
whatever,
who gives a fuck? It's just any pop song. I mean, back then I preferred that pop music to modern day pop music, but still, let's Thompson Twins. Let's get a vibe going on this bus ride.
Yeah. Let's say the whole conceptual album, you know.
Yeah.
And so you also learn that the book. So Bandersnatch is a character from the sequel to Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll, the Alice in Wonderland movie, or book. Sorry, I think the movie was called, or the original movie that came out was called. Yes, yeah, oh man, yeah. So the Bandersnatch is a character who's depicted like a lion in Lewis Carroll's sequel to the Alice in Wonderland. He's a fictional creature in Lewis Carroll's 1871 novel Through the Looking Glass and the 1874 poem The Hunting of the Snark. Neither one of them really describes him, except The Hunting of the Snark says he has a long neck and snapping jaws. Describe him as ferocious and extraordinarily fast. So like the sort of made him into like a lion-esque type character, and lion is imagery that's used throughout this show. Or like we'll get to that. So anyways, this is the book, the Bandersnatch book in the show with all these reality talent belonged to Stefan's mother, who we learn died in a train wreck. So as you go, you learn. Well, so he feels partially responsible for his mother's death because he made her late for her train when he was like 4 years old, like a little kid. But then also he sort of blames his father because his father took took away and hid his toy. And that's what made him late. Like he was trying to find the toy.
Yeah, he was trying to find the toy, and then the mom was waiting.
So he's like, it's my fault. It's my dad's fault, you know. And he has some trauma after all this, and he sees a therapist and is on medication.
He's like a fidgety guy. He's not an incredibly confident fellow.
Right.
And he's a hermit, kind of. You know, he keeps to himself.
Yeah. And also we find out that the author of this book in the show, anytime I say the book from now on, I'm not talking about like the inspiration for the actual Bandersnatch character. I mean, like in Black Mirror.
Yeah, there's a book. The book plays a huge role. Bandersnatch is the name of the book. It's also the name of this show in general.
Right.
But
his name is Jerome F. Davies, right? I believe that's his name. And he started, like, as he researched more and looked into creating these timeline theories about how, you know, these decisions, sort of like the butterfly effect, have all these like move and progress things. Seemingly innocent decisions have these effects. But also what he started to like lose his grasp of reality, because he started to theorize that if you had chosen the other thing, that timeline also exists. Like you're splitting all these timelines that are equally true and all happening at the same time, and we just happen to be living in this one. But that decisions you make, that you had the chance to go back or alter these other realities, and they all influence each other. And so he ended up losing his mind and decapitated his wife and drew like this symbol in her blood all over his notes and stuff, like this typical like yarn
cool
string board, you know. Like theories and papers, everything tacked up on the wall.
Yeah,
it was like that, and like drew like the inverted Y symbol, like in her blood all over.
Before, like, I don't even know if we gotta go into all of the individual because there's a lot of plot going on in this thing.
Yeah,
You thought you thought this was pretty fucked up, right?
Absolutely.
This is a fucked up show. This mind fucky type show. Yeah. So he gets on the bus and he goes to pitch his video game or whatever.
Right.
And the first really notable choice is you pitch the video game and the guy's like, you know what? Sure, but it's got to be done by whatever. It's got to be done in time for Christmas to release.
Right, come work for us here.
Come work for us here, and it's either yes or no. And considering,
I chose yes.
Considering the whole point, my goal is to make a game. That's what I want. Obviously, you're gonna choose yes because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and then that's not what you're supposed to do.
And then you choose yes.
So really, like, here's where here's where I got confused, is because obviously there are so many plots going on, or so many like potential outcomes. What I wanted to happen was for the whole movie to end with him happy and safe, and also that his game did well.
Yeah.
So
no,
turns out
it's
that's
Black
not
Mirror, so
an option.
That's not in the cards for any Black Mirror episode.
Right. So if you choose yes, then that's it. It's just like, okay, you produce the game by Christmas, you make it in time, it kind of falls flat. The game doesn't do well, and then
it's which is usually represented in the little not really endings with a guy reviewing it on TV saying like, it just
it's
seemed like a
segment.
team effort of people trying their best, and it sucked, and whatever. Fuck you, 2.5 stars out of 5.
Right.
And then it's like, and then after he sees that on TV, he's like, I gotta try again.
Yeah, and then you're like, what? And then he wakes up, and you get like a short recap of the day leading up to that, and you have the chance to make the decision again. Yes, stay there, or yes, work that way, or no. Once again, I chose yes, thinking if he's learning in this information, like, then he can go back and then still produce it well. That wasn't the case. So then I had to go back and choose no.
So after that, after you chose yes, did anything change at that point, or was it literally just like it kind of sped through the rest of that day?
Yeah, it just kind of sped through.
Okay. Because sometimes...
I guess the first decision is yes, I understand the rules, or no, and I chose yes, and I wonder what would happen if I chose no.
You understand the rules?
Yeah, that's like the very first thing you, like, when you first start the show, it explains like that you can make decisions, that you'll have a chance, like the controller will vibrate if you're playing, like I played it on my PlayStation. Use
sure.
Netflix on my PlayStation. And I chose yes, I understand the rules. So I don't know what would have happened if I had said no, but
yeah. Well, I already watched it, so I don't think that prompt came up for me when I rewatched it this time.
Gotcha. But so then I got to redo. I counted out all the decisions, and I ended up getting to like 30 decisions before I like went back to try to play with it a little bit and like choose different things. But it did send me back a few times. It sent me back twice, because after I accepted the offer to work there at Tuckersoft, I got a redo, chose again to work there, and then it had to go back, and you can only... Yeah, then I was like, okay, I have to choose to not work there.
Yeah.
Went through these decisions. So Stefan gets more stressed.
Real quick. So during that scene right there, where you meet this guy Colin.
Oh, yes.
The main character meets this guy who he loves this guy's games that this guy designs, right. Colin, who's not the manager of this game thing. He's just like, I guess, an upper person there.
Right.
He's well respected
He's like
as a designer.
Star employee, programmer, or whatever.
So he's like in the room as the main character's pitching it. And so at one point very early on, when he meets Colin, he says, "Inasmuch as time exists," and Colin has made some sort of realization about reality. Already. It is implied in this show.
Yeah.
But after I did when you do the day one, when you do it the first time and you say, "Yeah, I want to work here," and it doesn't work out for you. Mm-hmm. Colin says he doesn't know anything about Bandersnatch. Right. But when you redo it and you say, "No, I'm not going to work here, I'd rather work at home," or whatever, Colin said he's read the whole book.
Right. Oh, and the first time you say yes, he says, "You picked the wrong path, buddy," and he like pats you on the arm and walks out.
Yes.
And you feel like he's talking to you, not just him. Also, a discrepancy in realities there. When the protagonist first meets Colin, he's like doing like a demo of a new game he's working on, and the game crashes, and then they're all like, "What happened?" And then Colin's like, "I don't know. It could have been this." But then when you repeat the day, and the game crashes, Stefan answers what went wrong, and he's like, "Yeah, how did you know that?" So already you're saying that like things that happen in reality, if you go back and do it differently, you can still be influenced by things that had happened. Like the fact that Colin had read the book, or that Stefan knew what caused the game to crash.
That's the weird, like, when you get to logical consistencies in this, I don't know how much I could follow, because like Colin, like, you know what I mean? Like,
he's like a rogue character in this show.
Why Colin's path would change if he just changed the path for that one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, or maybe he was just lying, Colin, to be like, "Yeah, I read the whole thing. I'm a genius, whatever."
Right. But if in one reality, if in the first reality where Stefan told Colin, like, here's this book, and then Colin became interested in it and then went to finally read it, somehow going back, he still retained that knowledge of the book.
Well, that's the thing about our main character, at the very least. There's something about the main character that knows he can try again.
Right.
In the very pretty much in the very beginning of the show, he knows he can try again.
Right.
And, it's a very meta experience, this whole show, but he knows he could try again, and so he does, and then he retains knowledge. And that makes sense to me, like, because we stay with him and we kind of understand we have a relationship, the viewer and the main character.
Yeah.
But Colin, I'm like, I don't know at all. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And so that makes me think, like, it's different. It's not just that this one character has this ability that he can do this, but it's like, no, this is just how reality is. And so, like, everybody is affected by this, which makes it more trippy for me.
But Colin is one of the people that actually know that, whereas other people don't.
Right. So yeah, you if you choose no, you still work on the game, but you choose not to have a team work with you. You choose to take on the project solo.
The show definitely phrased it to trick you to definitely. I'm saying yes in the beginning.
Yes, it did. Yes.
They phrased it in a way that seemed like you were going to deny working there at all.
Right. So, and I guess that sort of is like done in order to introduce the idea of starting over, and like the character has some capacity or knowledge or ability to do this.
Yeah.
So like that's what first starts to, because if you just said, like, if you just went and
I'm not sure what happens if you just said no, what happens exactly, but I'm sure it's not like, I'm sure they have a path or whatever for that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, but like you're very much motivated to say yes. Yeah. So he starts to work on the game. He becomes more and more stressed out and isolated. He's, not eating. He's not sleeping. He's working on this like tirelessly. He's reading all these, like he's reading the Bandersnatch book about and like relearning more about like fracturing reality and time. And also he's reading this book called Look, Door, Get, Key, which is sort of a reference to like the old timey or the old games where it's like text based and you have to like type in what your character does.
I thought it was actually like something that was the wrong thing, like lock the key or like open the key, something like not paradoxical, but directly in opposition or something like that. But yes, It's an adventure game guide thing.
Yeah. And it's called like Tips on Writing an Adventure Game or something.
Yeah.
But also when you first meet his Stefan's dad, you see him coming out of a room, shutting the door, turning the like locking it like inside the house, and then putting the key in his pocket. And so like it took me a while to realize there's some kind of connection between like look, door, get, key, like this command prompt, and also like Steven getting the key to find out what's going on, like what's in that secret room. Or what I mean,
I don't know that I even really made that connection directly. I just it was just, when it came time in the story, it made sense to do it.
Right. Yeah. So general, like, I mean, obviously there are multiple decisions that progress and sometimes different, but like the general plot from here on is he's working on the game, getting more stressed. His dad seems to be worried about him. He's meeting with a psychiatrist, not doing well, sort of like you see like a descent into madness, so to speak. And then he has the opportunity to did you go to Colin's house with him when the dad forcibly takes him to the psychiatrist?
Yeah.
And then you had the option to go.
So what, let's skip all of this. What was the first ending that you got? Ending being a thing where it has the credits playing, but it is not, it also gives you the option to go back.
So I consider the ending like the video game review. Like when I get to that part, I'm like, This is the ending of like my outcome.
I see. Yeah.
So interestingly enough, so if I say that I lost the first time because I chose to accept the job there, and then it skips everything and just gets a poor review. So then I'm like, all right, my goal was for him to end happily and also get like a great review in the game, which those two things cannot happen simultaneously.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets a happy ending at all. But so then, with the other half of my goal is him getting a good review of the game. I got that on my first go through. After choosing not to work at the office but doing it at home. I ended with him getting a 5-star rating on the game. But that also included him killing his father and chopping up his body.
Yep.
So he's arrested. He's watching this review of his game in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And drawing this symbol.
The symbol in the wall, like on the wall. Yeah, of the inverted Y, which is just like the symbol for just reality, I guess. Like
I think it's the symbol of Pax, the demon in the story.
Yeah, Pax, Pax. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that's one ending.
What ending did you get?
I think I got to the first ending. It might have been that, but I think the first ending was leading. Basically, it led to the development. Like I killed both Colin and the dad.
Yeah.
And it led to the development of the Netflix game that you are playing right now.
Yeah. So
and then you control the person making the game for a moment, and then it ends.
Right. So to me, the most interesting endings are there are two that I think are the most interesting. There are, I think, like some people say that there are 5 main endings, but then there are like 10 to 12 endings at all. So
Sure.
there's also apparently 5 hours of video content available total. So like the whole thing lasts about an hour and a half, depending on your decisions. But like if you were to go back and look at all the choices, they have like 5 hours of footage. So that's a big undertaking for the actors, because like,
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and that's sort of like crazy to think, like, who, when they're watching this, or when they're recording this, like they don't know what the scenes, they're acting out some scenes similarly and like doing different takes, and like that's so like mind bendy to me. But there are 3 interesting endings, because I did look up more endings and like read about it, and there's online maps that tell you what decisions you need to make to get to every possible outcome that you want.
Yeah.
So the 3 most interesting endings to me are the one that you got, which is one that I did not get there, but in another, when I went back a little bit to make more like previous decisions, I did get to where the game developer in 2018 is rebooting this game that wasn't quite finished. And she's making it, instead of like a game console, she's making it into a Netflix show.
Well, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. This one first. This is the one that you. This is the one that you got to.
I thought you were saying there's that one, and then there's this one.
No. This is one that I think is super interesting. And the girl is supposed, like, all hints have led us to believe that this girl is Colin's daughter, Pearl. So like if you see her name tag or her desk, so she's like continuing in her father's legacy of like game development, but she's making it for a more modern platform. And so this was a really interesting thing to me. One, because it's like it shows how like the circle or the cycle is continuing, and each time it's updated for like the medium for that culture. So like the first time this came around was in a book, and that was like, well, that was pretty much like the advancement of technology that they had at that time. Like that was like the main source of media consumption, you know? Mm-hmm. And then you have Stefan coming around, and he's doing it with the advent of games and like gaming consoles and things like that, and like the computers. And then now we're post-computer, and we're into like streaming services. And so this generation is going to see it in streaming or like on Netflix. And so that's really interesting to me, that like the cycle of this reality and control, and people aren't really making their decisions, is just perpetual. And they're like, maybe each person has their own descent into madness. And you see that, or it's hinted at, you have the opportunity as Pearl to pour tea on the computer, which is something that you can make Stefan do in the main part of the show. Yeah. And she does for seemingly no reason. Like she's frustrated, but like she doesn't even think about it. She just picks up her tea and dumps it all over the keyboard.
Yeah, when you choose between that or destroying your computer, you choose for her to throw the tea on. Yeah. And then she does it, and then that's the end, I think. Right?
Yeah. And so that's really interesting to me. Like that's
a funny thing. I hadn't thought about it, because the way you're phrasing it, it's like this is like a curse that was bestowed upon Jerome F. Davies that was then disposed. Because I hadn't thought of it in that way.
Oh yeah.
I just thought, it's happening again, like that. They're making it, and then I thought it was just a commentary on reality in general. That everybody is controlled in that manner.
And it could, like, I think it, like, that's interesting thought. That's an interesting thought to have, and it is interesting way to take it. Of like, books, or like, it's just like it's the whole time. It's just like this theme of like you're being controlled, whether it's like the things that you're reading, or the games that you're playing, or what you're watching. Like there's some higher conspiracy, either some entity like PAX, like something supernatural, or we're all in a simulation and like there's people controlling us, or at like the government, or because there's a one plot line that you can go through where you find out that Stefan is the like an experiment. And his dad is a scientist or, you know, researcher, and so is his doctor, and they're both conspiring to like put him through this trauma just for the sake of experimentation. And so either way, something is controlling.
That was not true, actually, even within the show. That was a dream that he had and that he woke up from.
Well, what I have seen, there have been multiple, like, in my like reading and watching videos about this after the fact, it seemed like that was that could have been true.
Maybe.
And my reason for saying that will go into what I think is the second interesting outcome. Yeah. Which is when in this like dream, so the moment that Broomy is talking about, he's sort of like in this dream, like he wakes up, but it's more like he fell asleep, and then in the dream he woke up, and so he thinks he's awake. And he has the opportunity to, like, he goes to the secret room, and depending on other decisions, like you may find the documents and like surveillance footage of him being controlled by his dad and his doctor, or you can find the old bunny and realize, like, he blames his dad for his mom's death because he couldn't find the toy bunny, and he can go back through time travel through a mirror, like he learned from Colin.
Yeah, Colin
during
just
an LSD
said that.
trip.
That, by the way, that he takes an LSD trip with Colin at one point.
I quoted that whole monologue.
I love that monologue that Colin goes on,
so
where
great.
he's just ranting.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. I'll see if I'm sure, like, on YouTube they have just like the scene from that monologue. I'll put that in the Discord, because that is, it was too long for me, but I almost read, like, it was just like in my notes for preparing for this, I was like, I should just read that whole monologue. But it's basically this, like, where Colin breaks down how reality in the show is working. And so he kind of gives the viewer, you or us, like, understanding of the rules, so to speak, and how time works and how influence of events can, like, retroactively affect things or in other realities. And so at one point he talks about how you can travel through time by using mirrors. And so in this, what is, like Broomy said, it seems to be alluded to, this is a dream sequence happening, that Stefan travels through the mirror, which is a nod, and I think is a nod to, like, Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass, which is the Bandersnatch.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, he's like literally going through the looking glass. But he goes back in time to when he's a kid, and a couple of different things can happen, but you can find the bunny, or, store it under the bed, know where it is, and choose to go with your mom. And if you do, you're still late. The train, you still have to take the later train, and that train still derails, and everyone dies. And so either way, the mom dies, like, no matter what you do. But the only difference is you can be with her or you cannot be with her. And if you do choose the one where you go with her and she dies, then it cuts back to 1984, and Stefan is sitting in his psychiatrist's office, and he has died. And he's like, the psychiatrist is just like, we were just sitting here talking, and then he closed his eyes, and then he's just dead. Like, he has no pulse. And so, like, that was another ending that I got when I went back a little bit.
That is what I feel. To me, that feels like the true ending. I mean, I'm sure that there are a couple, but that feels like a good ending to me. I really like that one.
I love that one. Because it's sort of happy-ish in the fact that, like, he got to be with his mom, and you prevented him from, like, this descent into madness and killing his dad and possibly Colin, or committing suicide if he jumps when he's with Colin. Also, real quick, a note, when he takes the LSD, the tabs, they have a lion on them. So lion's head, Bandersnatch, more imagery. But yeah, I think that one's really interesting because it also, and like philosophically, it brings up things like fate. Like, even if you go back and change things, like, you still die. Like, you can't escape that.
Well, it's it's also a form of, like, just general acceptance of, like, hey, I know that my mom is dead or whatever. Yeah. But I need to accept it and I'm not happy in this life, seemingly.
Right.
So I'm going to get on the train with her so I can just be with her, because that's what I want more than anything. Probably.
Yeah.
That's what I'm reading into it.
Yeah.
But
so I think that's a pretty interesting one. And then you said that you think like you feel like that's in your opinion, the one that feels the most true. And so that's a very seamless transition into my next most interesting, which I think is probably the true ending. And this is very cool. I did not see this, but I watched it.
I mean, I might agree with you. I didn't research the other.
Oh yeah.
Endings.
But no, I'm just segue.
Yeah.
So this one is so interesting to me, and I feel like it's the most true. Where when you're at some point, I don't know what the decisions are that lead you here, that you're with the psychiatrist, and you can choose to like attack her. The Netflix even prompts you.
Yeah.
It's like this is
I know
like
what
she
it
was
is.
like yeah. So there's two things that can happen here.
She says to you like,
"This is boring" or something. Like, why would you pick this?
What it is it's like, give me a sign, he says at one point, to us, whoever's controlling him. Give me a sign. And like, who is this? And you say Netflix. And you try to explain it or whatever through signs on his little television thing. Yeah.
And I never got the option. Like, I kept getting that scene, but I never got the option for Netflix. I always got either PACS, like PACS, which is program and control, or the symbol. I never had this is Netflix option. But
I'm not sure what prompts that, but if you go back, then that happens, and then you go to the therapist, and the therapist's like, why would they follow you? Wouldn't it be... Yeah,
like, this is so
why
boring.
Would people
why would people be
you?
Watching you in this session?
There's nothing interesting about your life, basically, or me. I'm not saying it's just you, but it's not interesting. Wouldn't it be more interesting? And then the choices are yes or fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, so if you choose, I don't know which one is which, but there are going to be two things that can happen here. Both are pretty interesting. And then, so one, if you choose, like I said, I don't know which one it is, but one of the answers, you like attack her, and she just like pulls out two like batons, like the telescopic extendable like nightsticks, and you like start fighting her, and then your dad busts in, and then he's also fighting you, and then like you kick him in the nuts, and so like that's one. And I don't like, some other things happen, and that's very interesting to me. It's like
the funny ending.
Right. And it also seems to like confirm to me that there could be some like surveillance thing of his dad and she are in on it. But also in another scene, you see his dad like listening at the door. And so if he's listening to the session and his son attacks the therapist and he busts in there to like, who knows? But then the other option, which I think is the truest option, one of the answers will lead you to try to flee out the window, like jump out, like run and escape out the window. Yeah. And when you do that, you realize that you're on a set of a show filming Black Mirror, and the director or whatever, stage director, whatever, is just like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't part of the script. And he's like, what? And then she starts calling the character by the actual actor's name. And she's like, what are you doing? And he's just like, what's happening? Like, and it's like, they're like, this is a show. We're filming a show. And then it's kind of like a reality breaking moment where it's like the actor actually in this role lost his mind. So that, like, to me, that seemed like, I was like, this seems like the truer.
No, I actually have seen that. I think I got that ending before I got the one that I felt was truer. Yeah. But and I like that ending, but I don't know. I don't love meta stuff as much as I used to, because it's so around. Yeah. Like, people do it a lot. So I don't like that ending as much. I still like it, but yeah.
Yeah. That just like took me like that's like took me by surprise. Like the one of them fighting, like I was like, okay, this is just like bizarre. but like the fact of that he's on this show, it's just like he's very confused and lost. Like that was very interesting to me, because I didn't see that coming at all. I was still very much like in this universe. So yeah, either in most of the cases, you end up killing one or more people with your decisions, and this was and there's like some cool Easter eggs, like if in one of the which I mean I don't know all of them, obviously there's somebody on YouTube has gone through all these, but like in the beginning when you choose your cereal, the dad is like upset that there's a dog digging in the yard, and he's like, this dog will be the death of us or something like that. And then later on, like if you kill Colin and you bury him in the flowers, and like the dog starts digging him up, and so like goes back to like that's what the dog was digging up, which before any of this happens you realize that one of your potential outcomes has led to the dog back in the past finding like digging up the body, even though it hadn't happened yet, because things can influence the past, and that's all trippy. So this was incredibly well done, very fun, very enjoyable. So I told you I get anxious or stressed and like choose your own adventure, because I'm like I want to make sure I made the best decision. Also, something that like my personality type is prone to is like called analysis paralysis, where it's just like you can't make a decision because you just like it has to be perfect. And so that's why I was just like, one of the tips for like dealing with anxiety is just do it badly. Like even if you like, if you just pick to do something, just do it badly. That way you're not like, it has to be perfect. So that's what like mentality I did this with. I was like, I'm just going to choose this. I'm just going to,
that's great life advice, by the way, people.
Yeah.
If you're trying, like, I want to be a writer, I want to play guitar, but I know that I'm going to suck forever. It's okay to suck as a writer and make shitty things.
Yeah. Because
that's the only way to get better.
Yeah. So you're not going to do it perfectly the first time. Yeah. So, like I said, I went through and had about 30 decisions. 29 decisions before, and that led to the 5-star rating, and then he's in jail for killing his dad and chopping him up, and then Pearl, who is like in 2018 making this over a Netflix thing, throws tea on her computer. That was my last decision. But yeah, I did go play with it a little bit. There was a really cool thing where like the therapist is like, Colin is like, you can hear, if you listen closely, you can always hear the numbers. And you think it's just him like talking about like everything is in binary code or everything is programmed or whatever. But then that is tied in later when you're trying to call the therapist and you're trying to remember her number, and you're like, you have all these flashbacks to people like saying numbers, but they're emphasized in that moment. Like it might just be like one number, like one for all and all 4-1, and so like some of the digits are 4-1, and like you have the opportunity.
You know what? That one's I think is pretty dumb though, because it has 1 for all and all 4-1,
right?
And that's a whole phrase with 2 4s and 2 1s, but it only counts
for
one of each.
Yeah, so I agree that was a dumb one, but like that was just an example of. But but I thought that was like kind of concept was cool, like how everything. Yeah, there's so many tie-ins.
I'm not blaming you for it. I'm blaming the show for it.
Yeah.
For that one.
Yeah, there's so many tie-ins, and how everything is interwoven, which is sort of the idea of all of this. But then, so this brings about like an examination of this for whatever point it's trying to make, if any. Like it could just all be interesting and just like, we're gonna make this because it's interesting and whatever.
Sure.
Which is probably the case. Like but so the whole thing is about the illusion of control. Like you think you're or people think they're making out their decision or choosing something, but something else is influencing them and they don't know why. And so in this case, the protagonist was influenced by us. And there are times in the show where like you tell him to do something and he like tries to actively fight to resist. Like if you like tell him if he like to pull on his earlobe out of anxiety, he'll start to reach up there and grab his hand. He's like, no, something's making me do this. And so he's like, this is something this is not right. Something is controlling me, and I want to resist it. Which is like, so then there's like fate versus free will and determinism and stuff like that. There's also just like, this is a great depiction of like someone having delusions and being paranoid. Like, of like, this is a great like way for you to sort of like experience that or see it, you know.
Except it's not. It's kind of just however you view it. It's great, right? Because if you view it as as you in this reality as he views it, which makes sense for you to view it that way because you're actually influencing his decisions. Then you don't think of it like it's not a delusion. Right. Yeah. Because that's what's happening. Yeah. But if you did take the mental step to be like, well, what if you just thought of it as you don't exist? You're not actually influencing the decisions, and let's just say you're his subconscious or whatever, not like an external force. Right. And now you view his actions now and it's freaking out as delusions. Yeah. That type of thing.
Yeah. And that's what, you know, like in like severe cases of like schizophrenia, when you think like, well, the voices told me to do it. And you're like, well, okay, but if I heard a voice tell me to do this, I wouldn't do it. But like, you can say that, but until you've experienced and understand like the stress and strain that a person's brain is under in those situations and like all the like neurobiological things that are happening, it's not just like someone says, oh, go kill this guy and you go do it. Like, it's so much more complicated than that. And so like, to me, like, I mean, also I'm like study mental health. So I'm like, can see how this can be used to like make people more like sensitive to that, like illness. I don't think that's what I mean, I think the whole point of this in the creator's minds was like, no, it's like free will and control and stuff like that. It had nothing to do with like delusions or schizophrenia, even though like that's what people are thinking
it had
of the character.
Something to do with
right.
it.
Well, that's like, what like in the show, the plot
story, but
right. I don't think that's a point necessarily they're trying to make, but obviously in the show, like the therapist thinks, or the, you know, people in his life thinks that he's having these delusions, but really, I guess he is aware of what's happening. And then there's there's one scene where he like is just like, all right, what do I do now? And he just like waits for you to make the decision. And so like he's so much aware of your control over him.
Well, yeah, it's funny. Like, he really works hard to resist the earlobe thing, but you say kill your dad, and he's like, all right.
He's like, all right, yeah. And like, so the whole fate versus free will, that's that's a theme, and like illusion of control, and how you're like his character has really no say in what happens because you're deciding that. And then but really you are given the illusion of control because you can choose a decision, and the show's like, no, that's not a good one, go back, and you have to choose something else. And so like it's almost like the illusion of choice, like it for the viewer, because
but it isn't at the same time, right? Because you're
being
the
forced
show
into
is
decisions.
quote unquote punishing you by giving you the ending where you work for them at the very beginning of the show, where you work for them at the place, and then the game doesn't turn out good. Right. That could be the story. That could be the story if you accepted it. Yeah. But it gives you the option to go back.
Yeah. And that's sort of like what you were saying with him accepting his like being with his mom. He's like, no, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's pretty interesting because I mean it does talk about like, do we really have free will? And you see that happening, but then the whole time, you're like, no, I'm controlling this, but you're not really controlling it. Like the options are controlling you, and the designed outcomes. Like if you do something the show doesn't want you to do, it tells you to go back. So
yeah, it influences you in the way that like it definitely is a negative feeling that you get from you work for them, and then your game sucks, and it's the thing you were passionate about.
Yeah, so you have to be okay with that. Yeah. So that's so interesting though, because you do feel like you're in, like you think it's so insidious. You think like, I'm in control, but you're not. But you don't recognize that, or you might at some point. Like obviously I did, and other people that reviewed this did. But sure. It's very insidious how that can happen. About how like you think you're in control, and you're not at all. You are forced into a decision, and then you think that you chose that actively. Yeah. So I was like, this this is like so many. It's like a double entendre, I guess. I mean, it's like meta in that regard as well.
Yeah.
Which
you know
I think
Only...
that is more tastefully done than like him breaking off of the set and being in the show.
You sent me a text earlier that was like there was a coincidence that happened, and it freaked you out a bit.
Yeah. So in the show, they referenced Timothy Leary, and in my textbook that for something I'm reading for school right now, it talked about Timothy Leary before he did acid, and I was like, whoa, Timothy Leary came up twice today. Is my path on is am I on a trajectory that I can't really control?
Am I on the kill your dad path right now?
So that was real trippy.
But when suggesting Bandersnatch, like I kind of know from just previous conversations that like that idea is freaky to you. Something about the blue is new topic that we did, where reality isn't quite as we perceive it type thing.
Absolutely.
Is a freaky idea to you. So it's funny that after the fact of suggesting Bandersnatch, I was like, oh yeah, no, this would freak you out. I didn't even realize that when I was suggesting it.
And then even the fact that like the coincidence of Timothy Leary, like it's not just like I encountered some random thing twice. They both had to deal with like theories of like psychology and reality and like doing acid. I was like, what? Like and not understanding reality fully. Like it's so weird that is a coincidence that happens twice in a day.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, this is like, is somebody trying to drop me hints? You know, what's happening?
Yeah. But yeah, I think if you don't mind the dreary ending of some of this, I think you personally would enjoy Black Mirror quite a bit. Most of the episodes are pretty dang good.
All right, you have inspired me to check it out. Even when I mentioned to my wife that I was going to watch this, she's like, "Oh, I don't know if you like that. You don't like scary stuff like that." And I was like, "I know, but we'll see." And then it actually turned out to be way more interesting than I thought. And like, yeah, even if you just seen it, I think she's seen some about and like it's a pretty popular, and I think some people in her circle have watched it and talked about it.
Yeah.
One of my friends has been trying to get me to watch it and talks about it quite a bit. So yeah, like you said, if you get past, like if you look at it less of like you're not so invested in this character's well-being and more just like the experience of watching this and making decisions and seeing how things play out, like it's very interesting. I 100% would recommend at least this show, like this episode or movie or whatever.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, and then I did in one of the in some of my research, I did see where they're like a lot of these have like Easter egg references to other episodes in Black Mirror, and like even the therapist.
Nosedive is the name of the game that Colin is producing, and that was the name of an episode that people loved and I loved.
Yeah,
that and then about social media called Nosedive, and it's crazy. But yeah,
and then like the Metalhead was one of Colin's games, and like the cover had this like dog 4-legged thing, which apparently was featured in another episode. There's like robot things. Yeah. I don't know.
I think that episode is called Metalhead as well.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, so I definitely think. I mean, it was great. It was. I mean, this would probably have been like the only way to get me to watch Black Mirror. And now I'm like, all right, I'm open to the idea of it now. So
yeah, Black Mirror isn't. I mean, it's more like it's scary on like an existential level. It's not really scary.
And this one did have a couple of like jump scare things because you do see Pax the demon as a few times depending on your choices. But yeah, it's not like just. I mean, well, also he kills his dad, but it's not just like a horror movie where being chased by something and.
Yeah, it's more just Black Mirror is more like of a mindfuck thriller type thing most of the time. Sometimes there are some episodes that like differ very much in tone, but most of the time it has that sort of feel. Mm-hmm. They're very different, and it's an anthology. You know what I mean? So you could love an episode and dislike a different episode, but I
Yeah.
really do enjoy the majority of the episodes.
Yeah. This was a really good choice. I did enjoy it after my initial apprehension, and glad I watched it. Yeah.
So I listened to a podcast called How Did This Get Played, which is about bad and weird video games.
Oh yeah.
And on the podcast they have a segment called Maybe We're Wrong. And basically whatever, if they think the game was good, Maybe We're Wrong segment is reviews of people saying it's bad.
Right.
Or if they think it's bad, reviews of people online saying it's good. So, in tribute to them, that idea, I got a couple 1-star IMDb reviews, because I had a feeling that you would enjoy this at the very least a little bit.
Yes. Oh, I want to say one last plot thing ending.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
That I do feel like I feel like people who are super into this like know this and probably would be screaming listening to this if we didn't talk about it. There is one ending, I don't know how you get to it, where you go back, and when you're you don't have the choice to what he listens to on the bus, which is like your second choice in the show. But in third, he pulls out a third tape. Instead, he pulls out a third tape and plays it, and it's just like this cacophony of noise. But apparently, if you like, there's a way for you to like listen to it, because I know like, you know, Siri, you can ask Siri on an iPhone like, what am I listening to, and Google phones will like pull up whatever you're listening to, but and it will pull up a QR code, and if you scan it, it will take you to a website that is a fake Tuckersoft website on which you can play the Nosedive game that Colin was working on in the show. So like you yourself can play it on your computer or phone.
Oh, that's a fun thing.
So that's a fun little, yeah. So,
but I actually saw that. I saw that was after, I think it was a post-credits thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
After the ending with the rabbit and getting on the train with the mom.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I felt like I needed to at least mention that one because it does like brings about real world interaction.
What he was listening to, I saw it. The tape was the demo tape for Bandersnatch, like the video game.
Okay.
And he put it in his tape player, and it sounded like random cacophony of noise.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. Yeah. This sounds fun. Let's do the IMDb reviews. This sounds very fun.
So.
Did you have good ones in case I said this sucked?
No.
Okay.
Because I didn't think you would think it would suck.
Yeah.
But
I think it'd be pretty easy for you to convince me that it was good. If I didn't like it, you'd be like, but no, here's how you can explain all these things. But, yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't try. If you didn't like something, it's fine. So here's the title of this review. The choose your own adventure aspect is extremely distracting.
That's the whole point.
When I had to choose a cereal brand, I knew I was going to be disappointed. After the first wrong choice that sent me back to the beginning of the show, I walked away.
Oh my gosh.
I watch movies to be entertained, not to have to be constantly prompt to make decisions for the characters I'm watching. Probably would have been a fine movie to just watch. Liked the premise. The choose your own adventure stuff, though, is just a bit too much.
The choose your own adventure is the whole premise. That is the premise. Somebody
I don't know,
missed it.
There aren't that many choose your own adventure shows. So, yeah. I don't know, any other thing you could have watched.
Here's my issue with that criticism. Like, I understand if this is not for you. If you're just like, no, I want to watch something, I don't want to play a game or do whatever. Great. Yeah. That's valid. But it is explained to you. Like, you know what you're getting into, and then it even does like a test thing. I was honestly, I thought it was going to be fewer options, and I was going to be disappointed by like, okay, it's probably going to be like, maybe like 5 decisions, and it's gonna be like choose between saving this person or this person, and just like get different outcomes in that regard. So the fact that there are hundreds of decisions. Some people say thousands, depending like combinations of decisions.
I mean, combinations, sure.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think there are
I think like
that many decisions.
Yeah, right. Like there are like 20 decisions roughly.
Yeah.
But you can like, or times that you would get a decision in the show, but like what led you to that and what you see after that is all can be different. So, yeah, like I said, I had to make like 29 decisions, and that I was very impressed. I thought it was going to be more restrictive, and so the fact that I had this much freedom was very great. But yeah, I mean, you even have the test question, and you know that that's what this is about. So I mean, I think the point that you would not have gotten the point across if it had just been a movie.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have gotten it across in the way that it was trying to get it across.
Right. Yeah.
It's a part of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just funny to me.
Yeah, I mean,
I obviously am
gives
picking
you...
out the stupidest ones or the ones I disagree with the most.
Yeah, I mean, it literally is showing you right or wrong answers as opposed to someone else just making those decisions and it going to where you want to get, like Netflix wants you to go. Like it's literally you can be right or wrong or face these consequences, you know. It's not just anyway, so yeah.
The next 1-star review on IMDb is titled Unpleasant and Uncomfortable to Play This.
I agree with that.
I didn't like it since it has one unpleasant scenario after the other. The makers of this series just want to toy with its viewers and make them feel uncomfortable. The people who made this have a very disturbing imagination. And it's like, yeah, I mean...
I agree with that, but also
you're
that's
not
the
wrong,
point.
But
you're right, but that's the idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this was not to be like, would you rather have a taco or a cheeseburger and then be happy? No, it's just like, yeah, I agree with the premise of their review that like this was uncomfortable and like the creators enjoy messing with you. But yeah, at the same time, like that's the whole idea of the series.
The whole idea of all Black Mirror.
Yeah,
it will make you uncomfortable.
Yeah,
but
I would have been more uncomfortable if it had just been like a happy movie. I'd be like, what did I miss? Like, I know this is supposed to be deeper, you know. Which that would be a funny. Wouldn't it be a funny episode if they just like had this like cheery, uneventful hour-long episode where nothing really happens, and then like so that leaves everyone like, what did I miss? And like all these theories going on, and like people picking up clues about nothing because really it meant nothing.
Yeah, because it's the only episode of Black Mirror like that.
Yeah.
So here's the next one. Waste of Time is the title. Don't waste your time on this stupid movie. It's so bad. Zero mystery, zero thriller, pure drama.
How is there no thriller? It's all thriller. You see a demon and you kill your dad.
People like drama, by the way.
Yeah, I mean there's a drama genre. Like it's not, you know.
It gets the most Oscars or whatever.
I just watched Nate Bargatze's special on Netflix last night and I hated it. It was all comedy. Like, yeah, duh.
No
that's
mystery,
what it is.
No thriller, all comedy. Fucking bullshit.
That was great. I love that one.
So I got two more.
All right. Yeah.
So here's the title of the next one. Has been done before. It isn't new. It is a cop-out. That's the title of this 1-star review. First, it was the watch that scene again, and now this. I want to watch a movie, not play a computer game. It isn't fun. That is why Choose Your Own Adventure books appeal to children only. Being in control of what happens in a movie in any way, shape, or form completely negates the whole point of a movie in the first place, i.e., you are not in control of what happens. This isn't new or game-changing either. Even Sharknado got so bad that in one of them it offers viewers to choose which ending to show, as a joke, mind you, because even the director of Sharknado movie knows this technique is tacky, hopeless, and an insult to the viewer. Netflix is clutching at straws with this. They will spend money on anything except good writing. Black Mirror was just added to the title for views and ratings. So there's that.
That's very I can't think of the word I'm trying to just. It's very. It's a vehement. I don't know. Hatred.
Passionate.
Yeah, it's very.
Yeah.
All right. I don't agree with the conclusion he came to, or she, or they. I don't know the gender of this person.
Oh yeah, I didn't write the names down.
So, I don't agree with the conclusion they came to, but the arguments I can get behind. Like, if you didn't like this because you don't like you want to watch it, you don't want to be in control, you don't want to game, whatever. That's fine. I mean, that just means it's not for you. Like, that is it. I don't think.
Yeah, that means you shouldn't have watched it in the first place because it tells you what it is.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't reflect on this piece of medium. It just means that this is not what you like. Sort of like where it's all drama, no thriller, whatever. Like, it's just like, well, that's just what this was. Also, I mean, I would argue there's thriller, but still.
There's thriller and there's mystery. You
don't
know what's happening the whole time.
Yeah. But like, even if you accepted that, like, that premise, I still, yeah. But here's and I will also say, like, I mean, this is arguing semantics, but like, yeah, maybe this is more of a game and less of a show or movie or whatever, because it's like more interactive and like. Maybe it's hard to classify it as just because you're not just like watching it passively, it's more actively engaged.
Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, maybe it's more of like a what are they, not graphic novel, what's the game, what's that called, visual novel. It's sort of like that.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I guess I could like meet you there and say, like, yeah, if we're talking about like I said, in semantics, like, this is not what that was. But that doesn't mean that this was bad. It just means it's not what you wanted it to be.
Yeah. It's just fun. Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's funny that you choose to write a 1-star review because the base premise of what you're viewing is not what you want to view, even though it tells you what it is. Yeah. If they came out with
a show about, like, icebergs, I would not give it a review because, like, I hate icebergs. I want to hear about sand and tropical islands. Like, well, I shouldn't have watched that then. Like, I knew what I was getting into. It has nothing to do with the review. Shouldn't be whether or not I like the content. It should be like how much I met my expectations or how good or poorly it was done. Yeah. So yeah, and I think that's very funny.
Before the last review, I just want to say, I read a bunch of these 1-star reviews.
Yeah.
Like, very quickly, kind of skimmed a lot of them, but a lot of them were complaining about, like, just you have to start over. It shows all these scenes again.
But it goes through such an abbreviated
scenes. Yeah, super
scene.
Abbreviated, and it's giving you, like, hints and stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's like...
It emphasizes the part that would influence your decision. Like, you don't have to go back and watch the whole 45 minutes of the first part if you do something different 50 minutes in.
Yeah, if you're in really deep into it, it's going to need to it might help to jog your memory to a specific moment and scene early on. Or whatever.
Yeah, and also if you're going through and doing like all these different branches of what's happening, you need to remember which reality that you're in. If you've done this multiple times, you'll be like, oh yeah, these are the decisions I've made up to this point. I forgot. Okay, now cool.
Because sometimes you kill your dad. So,
yeah. I was very fascinated.
Sometimes you do.
I was very fascinated by just the technology of like because of Netflix, like remembering the decisions you've made, and then if you go to restart it, it'll say like if you do this, it'll clear all your decisions, or you can go back to previous decisions. So like that was very interesting to me because you can see the things you decided and like go back multiple times. All the decisions you've made along the way. So that was like pretty cool to see how like it saves it.
That is definitely cool with me. I love, even if like, I haven't done them yet, but I'm interested to try out these other shows because I like the interactive storytelling thing.
Yeah.
Where it's just I'm watching something and then I make a decision and then it branches off into a new narrative. Yeah. I love that idea, and I think it was very well executed here. But they did like an episode of like Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, I think. They did an episode of Man vs. Wild, which was like a Bear Grylls thing.
I do think like survival shows, it's a cool concept because it really would be like, would you survive? Like obviously it's more complicated than that because it's like build a fire or make a shelter. Like, I mean, the presupposition is that you actually know how to do those things. So like
drink your pee or drink your pee.
Right, yeah. So like I think that like those are interesting because it's like, would you be able to make the decisions to survive? I mean, completely negating the fact that you would need the ability to make a fire, friction fire, or whatever. But like, yeah, I do think it's that's a pretty interesting concept of like survival things.
Yeah. So this one I just found fascinating.
Yeah.
That this is a 1-star review.
Yeah,
okay?
that's
it's a 1-star review. Mm-hmm. This next one, it's called, the 1-star review is A Mirror of Modern Day Society.
Ooh.
This is nothing more than a reflection of modern day society and all of its depressive acceptance. All 70 million of you popping 20th century antidepressant pills looking for different life endings, and Netflix jumping on the bandwagon of fueling this downward spiraling trend in modern society. Life is about nothing more than choices, and every choice possible in this film was depressive. Even if he completed the film and got his score of 5/5 critic reviews, 5 out of 5. Brilliant. Let's spend months or even years locked away in solitude for the creation of other people's happiness, all ultimately locked in their very own solitude to play this so-called game. Maybe instead of thinking this film is a brilliant and new way of how we view TV these days, we should be looking into our own black mirrors and making a choice not to accept that this is the way the world should be. Make a choice. Choose not to watch things that spiral you into solitude, depression, and darkness, like sheep being led to the slaughter.
So there's a lot to unpack there.
It seems like he got a lot out of watching this.
I would say, like, I mean, I'm not agreeing with everything he said, but the point, like, I feel like this, they're holding a mirror to society. Be like, I think that's kind of what they're trying to do. Like you're getting, they. I mean, yeah, they're, you know, obviously this is like science fiction-y and whatever, but like they're. Yeah. I mean, they are kind of like critiquing society or saying something, or they could be. They maybe not, but people can read into stuff that like.
I mean, that's half of the point of the title Black Mirror, is that it's a dark. It is just showing the darkness of reality. Yeah, is a part of it.
Yeah. So the fact that he made that step, but then completely derailed from there is very like. It's humorous that how far he missed it, you know?
Yeah, he's also commenting like basically we shouldn't be locked into playing this game, this literal Netflix whatever game. And whatever. But every other aspect of what he said was like, it seems like he got a lot out of watching the show.
Yeah, he's making the point that he is angrily making the point that the show is making. Like he's just, and he thinks that he's the one coming up with this, which is so funny to me.
Yeah, he thinks he's coming up with this in complete protest of the show. Yeah. But I just found it fascinating.
Yeah, that's the best one yet. That's great.
But yeah, it's the other meaning of Black Mirror is that if your phone is turned off and you pick it up, or you turn it off for a second, you look in your phone and it's a black mirror. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. It's a technology, dark reflection, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Which I thought is pretty cool. Everybody knows this that knows about Black Mirror, but there you go.
Yeah.
But I think that's it for us, unless you have something else to say about the show.
No, that's all. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. And we will see you on the next one.